Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. On today's Starborn show, the title is A Step Too Far. And that is because there can be some people around, perhaps an enemy or two, that may want to take a step too far, and it will be to their irrevocable downfall if that happens. And it's actually in spite of the fact that we have 8 planets in wonderful trines among the fire signs and the air signs. So that's very positive. But on the other hand, we have even more planets, 9 of them, which are in harsh aspect to each other. And so that can tempt fate in a way. That can simply mean that as people face challenges, there may be some people that are just too greedy or too forthright, or think that they're right about everything, and so they deserve to get their way. And instead, they could be tempted to take a step too far because of their greed or their ego, and instead they will fail. And the reason why is that there's more planets in a harsh aspect than in the good aspects. But let's just start with the rosy picture first. And it is that there are 5 planets that are all in a trine among the fire signs. And fire signs love action. And so the Sun today, which is the ruler of Leo, is in Leo, along with Mercury, which is now direct. And they are trining the Moon today in Aries, along with Saturn, which is retrograde at 1 degree, that's a malefic planet, and Neptune, which is retrograde at 2 degrees in Aries. So these 5 planets in the fire signs, the dynamic fire signs, and that includes the lights, the Sun and the Moon, simply mean that there are people that can really want to get something underway. Or because there are retrograde planets involved, there is a possibility that if something didn't work the first time around, they want to give it another try. And that's why, if there was an enemy around and they didn't succeed the first time, they could come back and be tempted by their greed or simply their arrogance and want to give something another try as well. And so if you are motivated to try something pretty fast, I suggest that you think about it real seriously first, because there is another trine of 3 planets that are 3 planets that are in the air signs, just as there have been for the last 2 weeks. And these 3 planets are in a grand trine in the air signs, and you can't beat a grand trine. And so what we have in that grand trine, we have Mars at 4 degrees of Libra, and it is trining Pluto, which is at 2 degrees, and it's retrograde in Aquarius. And then those 2 planets, which are the rulers of Scorpio, but they're in excellent aspect to each other because they're trining each other, and that's good because Scorpio is a fixed financial sign, and so there can be a financial incentive involved in something that you may want to see go forward right now, because these 2 planets are also trining a 3rd planet in an air sign, Uranus, which is at 1 degree of Gemini. So they're all closely trining each other, and 2 of them are malefic planets. Mars it rules war and aggression and jealousy and greed and hate, something an enemy could have. And then Uranus is a malefic planet because it rules sudden surprising change and volatility and rebellion and eccentricity. So you don't exactly know where Uranus is coming from, but it does rule Aquarius, which rules the future. And for the first time in 83 years, it's now in Gemini. It hasn't been there since 1942, but it is now, and it is trining that Pluto in Aquarius and Mars in Libra. So that's a very strong grand trine. And that simply can give incentive to people to go ahead and maybe form partnerships, or they could want to certainly head off in a new direction and start something new very quickly. Or it can be that a good idea has their time has come. There's some good idea that finally is going to see the light. And people might agree with that. And then they can get a lot of backing, perhaps even some good startup money and financial backing, since Mars and Pluto are trining each other. But they could get a sort of a green light from that Pluto that's in Aquarius, because Pluto is ruling upper management in corporations, government agencies, and institutions, and it's in the sign of the future. So new management can be wanting to move forward on new projects. And there may be some money for that. So does that mean that success is a sure done deal right now? No, I'm sorry, it doesn't mean that. Those are very positive aspects. But there are even more aspects among 9 planets, more planets, which are adverse. And so we need to look at that too. And the first one is that there's 6 planets, which is 60% of all the planets in the heavens, are in a harsh T-cross. And that's going to continue this week. Wow, that's too bad. And that is because that same Mars that is in Libra is opposing Saturn and Neptune and the Moon in Aries. Well, Mars rules Aries, so it's opposing the sign it rules. That is no good. That means that new beginnings can have a really hard time getting off the ground, because some people may not want to put their money into that, or some people may be arguing about policies or leadership or staffing or whatever. And so this Mars opposite Saturn, those are 2 malefic planets, and they're coming up against each other. That's really not too good at all. And then these 4 planets, Mars in Libra, and then the Moon, Saturn, and Neptune in Aries, are all squaring Venus and Jupiter in Cancer. And Jupiter has now moved up to the 14th degree of Cancer, and Venus has moved ahead of it, and it is now at the 16th degree of Cancer. They're still conjuncting. But they're sort of taking it on all sides from these other planets as well. And so that simply means that somebody, perhaps an enemy, due to their egotistical enthusiasm, could decide that they're going to press forward and get everything that they want, simply by marching forward and doing it and being aggressive. However, that's going to fail. And the reason why an enemy could fail right now and endure quite a failure, for one reason, is in these 6 planets, since Mars is in Libra, Libra rules the law, and it rules all legal contracts. Well, Mars is not happy in a sign ruled by Venus. It's a go-getter. And remember, it rules jealousy and greed and hate as well, and it rules war. And so it can be that people who might want to start a new beginning, or they might want to restart something that had not worked out the first time, may fail. And this could be enemies, and they may fail due to a lawsuit that they would lose. Losing lawsuit. And so that can put a little damper on your plans, and that could certainly occur, and it may occur because something that an enemy has done hasn't been quite right, and when that comes up for review, they'll lose it. They'll lose a lawsuit, or they'll lose a legal contract, something like that. And so that's not going to work. And that's why I'm saying that if there is an enemy around, or of other people who would sort of have a grudge, or they have a huge ego and they want to go ahead and do things all their own way, just stand back and let them try, because they're not going to make it. If you take a step too far, you're going to fall flat on your face right now. So that is not a good idea, because there are still 3 other planets that are in harsh aspect, and they are in the fixed signs. Fixed signs don't budge at all. And so what we are seeing is that Pluto, which is part of this very strong grand trine in the air sign, nothing wrong with Pluto, but still it is retrograde at 2 degrees of Aquarius, which rules the future, and it is opposing the Sun and Mercury's direct now in Leo. And so, and Leo rules gambling, and it rules leadership. And yet, Pluto in Aquarius rules new leadership and people that want to go into the future and who have new ideas for the future. And so there's a clash there. And that simply means that if you've been taking a gamble on anything, you're going to lose. You're not going to win the gamble. And so this hypothetical enemy, excuse me, excuse me, who may be around, is not going to win. They're going to fail. And the reason why is that other people are not going to back their ideas. Okay, so the money's not going to be there. Because remember, Pluto and Mars are trining each other, and they're the rulers of Scorpio. But Pluto by itself is opposing the planets in Leo. So somebody who wants to, who perhaps has already taken a gamble, or they want to take a gamble, or they want to have everyone listen to them and have everyone do it their way, they're simply going to fail. There's no way for them to succeed. Because people with new ideas are not buying the same old story. And they're really not buying it. So an enemy fails now if they take a step too far. It doesn't mean that there aren't enemies around. It simply means that if any enemy takes a step too far, they'll fail. And so that's what we are looking at, because even though there's 8 planets trining each other in the fire signs and in the air signs, and in the air signs it's a grand trine, there's still 9 planets in harsh aspect, and they're very harsh aspects. And so we need to be a little bit careful this week, which I hope you are, and I think, stay away from people that you think are after your money or that want to tell you what to do. Or if you feel that you're around people that are manipulative or bossy or are going to pull any kind of trick they can to get you to do what they want to do, if that occurs at work, I would call in sick if I were you. Just avoid it if you can, and avoid them. Because there are still ways that possibly people could move forward. But you better look out for an enemy on the horizon somewhere this week, and if they take a step too far, they'll fail, but they may drag a few other people down with them, so that's why you got to be pretty careful and just stay away from those people. If you be cautious this week is what I'm saying. All right, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, for you, it's wonderful that the moon is in your sign because Saturn and Neptune are there as well, but they're very early in your sign and they're retrograde. Saturn they're both slow planets, but Saturn is the faster one of the 2 slow planets, and it is now moved up to 1 degree in your sign, Aries. Neptune is closely following it. It's at 2 degrees. And even though they're weaker because they're both retrograde, they can still have some influence on your sign, but it would be an influence that may slow you down a little bit, Aries. They've been in your sign for a while, and they're actually retrograding and going back into Pisces, and then they'll turn around and finally come back into your sign for years. And so it depends on what you're planning on, Aries. The Sun and Mercury, which is direct now, are both trining your Sun. And so if you were sort of wanting to get something restarted, or you wanted to go over a plan that maybe had not worked out that well, and you maybe want to cut it down a little bit and just try a portion of a plan, not the whole thing, or if you don't have the funding to do everything right now, or if you are counting on some sort of contract to come through, I don't think it's going to. In fact, there is the possibility, Aries, that you might be on the losing end of a lawsuit. And that is because your own ruler, Mars, is in Libra. It's part of that powerful grand trine in air signs, and it's opposing the moon in your sign, which can indicate ruffled feathers. It can indicate people that either you're not getting along with or they're not getting along with you. And so that can be a little hard on you emotionally, but also there's the possibility of losing a lawsuit. And so I hope you're not in one, Aries. But if you're thinking of getting into one, I would not do that. Not with your own ruler opposing your sun sign. I don't think that's going to work out too well. So if I were you, Aries, I'd sort of lay low a little bit this week and see if you can pare down your plans to something that's less stressful on you. And you might have been a little overly enthusiastic about something, And so, you know, if you could step back a little bit and just calm down a little bit, and try not to move too fast this week, Aries. I don't think it'll do you any good, even though the Sun and Mercury and Leo are trining your Sun. So it's not all bad news. I'm just suggesting extreme caution, and also if you're in a lawsuit, the possibilities of you winning it are rather slim. In fact, you may not. And if you're not in a lawsuit, but you're thinking of one, cool it, Aries, it's not going to work. So just back off if you can. All right, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, there is, once again, no planets in the earth signs. So there's nothing in your sign, or Virgo, or Capricorn right now. And that is an even better reason why an enemy can take a step too far if they're motivated by greed, or on a power trip, or just simply want to tell a whole lot of other people what to do, and they're not willing to listen, or they're not willing to compromise. They're going to fail. And one of the reasons why can be that the fact that there are no planets in earth signs. And actually, you know, if you want to get something done and you need a little muscle to do it, it's not going to be around right now. You know, it's because there's no planets in earth signs. And so people may be having to fall back on their own reserves right now. They could be financial reserves, because there's nothing in your sign, Taurus. So I hope you have a little something tucked away somewhere, because you may have to draw on that instead. Because there are two fixed financial signs. Yours is one of them, Scorpio is the other. Well, there's nothing in your sign, and you have no backup. There's nothing in the other earth signs, but Scorpio actually has its own rulers, Mars and Pluto, trining each other, and then Uranus is trining them. People can be very serious about real important big issues, and the ones who have the money to back the big issue are probably going to be able to do it if it involves something new in the future, because Pluto is in Aquarius, the sign of the future. All of that could work. If you are interested in being a part of that, I would say that that's a little bit beyond your reach right now, Taurus. And because Pluto in Aquarius is going to be squaring your Sun for the next 15 to 17 years, maybe even longer. And so there are going to be people that have their own leadership ideas or their own futuristic goals, and they're perhaps not going to include you. Now, it isn't through any fault of yours, Taurus. It is simply that they are not requiring the same, whatever they want to do in the future does not require the same abilities that you have. So you could have made a whole career using certain abilities successfully and making money off that. That's great. But those may not be the abilities that people who want to go into the future are requiring. And so that's why you may have to dip into your own reserves to provide for yourself a little bit better. I'm sure you can do that, Taurus. I'm sure you have reserves. And so I wouldn't worry about that. The only thing is, if you encounter an enemy who takes a step too far, if I were you, I would not respond to their efforts in any way. And in fact, you should guard your money and step back and keep it in its own little hiding place, Taurus, if you can. And just stick with what you've done already. And your future is going to be severely challenged by the demands for 15 years or longer, by the demands of people who want to go in a different direction than what you're used to. And so they're going to. And there won't be the same amount of money for you to do the things you've done before. And that's why you need to fall back a little bit more on your own reserves right now, which I think you've got, and sort of sit something out right now, Taurus. You'd be safer. So there's no backup in your sign at all. So be careful. All right, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini. Oh, Gemini, once again, you have Uranus in your sign. Oh, it's at 1 degree. It is finally trining the sign it rules, Aquarius. So it's part of the grand trine in air signs. It's trining Pluto, which is retrograde in Aquarius, and it is also trining Mars in Libra. And so since Uranus is one malefic planet and Mars is another, and they're both noted for speed, and Mars is noted for aggression, and also jealousy, hate, and greed, and it rules war. Now it rules a lot of other things too that are good, like the medical field and the military as well. But Uranus is trining it in your sign, Gemini, and that means if you get a red-hot idea for something new in the future, you should jump on it, Gemini. This is a time to go forward. And Geminis have so many ideas. They're so versatile and adaptable, and your sign rules temporary or part-time things and easy transitional change, and it rules our neighborhoods and our communities, and it rules young people or youth. Geminis always look younger than they are. I don't know how they do it, but it's just natural to them. And so, Gemini, this is a time when you need to be out in the public eye a little bit more, and your sign rules the public, because you have some of the strongest backups you'll ever have in your life, with Mars in Libra trining your sun, and Pluto in Aquarius also trining your sun, and they are the rulers of Scorpio, which rules funding. And so this is a time when if you have a red-hot idea, Gemini, you need to go and talk to somebody about it. I mean, hey, it doesn't cost you anything to tell people or to talk or to present something. And you might be surprised, particularly if you have some idea of what it might cost, if you sort of wanted to mention that to people as well. You know, I project that this will cost so much, as a startup it'll cost so much. You should bring that out in the open. You might be talking to the right people, Gemini, and they may think that is worth backing. That is quite possible for you right now. And there are not a lot of planets in the mutable signs. In fact, none. There's nothing in Pisces, Sagittarius, or Virgo. Your sign is standing alone right now, Gemini, in a perfect grand trine. And you have the planet of genius, Uranus, in your sign. So some little idea that you had, that you've just been sort of letting it roll around in your head, you ought to do something with that, Gemini. That's important. You could say to yourself, well, I'm comfortable. I don't need to do that right now. Yes, you do, Gemini. You need to get out and let people know what you're thinking, because it would be an idea that would benefit your community. It might benefit young people. It would certainly benefit you. And that's why you've sort of got to get out among them right now. And if something is going to cost some money, well, fine. Go talk to some people. You're expected to get the money, Gemini. That's why you need to get out among people right now. Be much more in the public eye, because that's where you shine anyway. That's what your sign rules, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, your sign is part of 6 planets that are all in a harsh T-cross among the cardinal signs. Well, you still have the lucky Jupiter, which is exalted in your sign. It's just at 14 degrees, and it is still conjuncting Venus at 16 degrees in your sign. So, you know, if love hasn't come to you already, Cancer, it is on its way. Or you could be very popular right now. And also, you could, at the same time, since your sign rules the last half of life and endings, it rules our emotions, and it rules real estate, it rules farming and agriculture and mining, and very good cooking, home cooking. This can be a golden time for you, but you're still going to have to watch out for an enemy, Cancer. And the reason why is that the sun, is that Mars in Libra, and Libra rules the law, but Mars would tend to indicate sticky lawsuits, because Mars is not happy in Libra. It stirs things up. Mars is squaring Venus and Jupiter in your sign, and so that is an indication that there can be the threat of a lawsuit, or there can be an enemy, actually, who might have been a former partner or wants to become a partner of yours. And they would be very forceful. They would want you to do everything their way. And they could even be threatening about that in one way or another. And so watch out, Cancer, for people who are trying to manipulate you right now, because they could be real good at it, because they'd had a lot of practice. That's an enemy, Cancer. You need to stay away from those people, because all they want to do is use you. and you have a good heart, and they want to take advantage of that. They may have been successful in the past at taking advantage of you, and they're just sort of coming back for a second helping. Well, the answer is no, Cancer. And that is because they're your own ruler, the moon, and Saturn, another malefic planet, and Neptune are all in Aries, squaring your sun sign. Your sun sign has the great planets, Jupiter and Venus, but they're getting attacked. And so this is a time when I think that you, since it's your own ruler, the moon, that is squaring your sun right now, it really would be advisable to go home, close the door, and stay there, Cancer. And the reason why is that if you move in too many different directions, or you're coming up against the same old people that have manipulated you before, then an enemy could take a step too far, and surprise, it might be that you've just had it. It might be the one time when you close the door, when you say no more. And that is exactly what you should be saying to somebody who is pretty used to getting their way, or can be threatening a lawsuit, or they can be just so enthusiastic about starting something new that they want to talk you into it, and they're never going to stop trying to put pressure on you to do that. Because either, an enemy fails because they take a step too far. Well, somebody in your life, Cancer, or maybe two people, are going to take a step too far right now, and that'll be by putting extra pressure on you. And the answer has just got to be no. And if you don't, Cancers are pretty nice people. They don't really erupt. And so if you wanted to say no to somebody, I think you're really going to need to do that. But you might want to do that by sort of getting away from them as well. And I think you could do that. You have the two best planets in the heavens in your sign. And this might be, since your sign rules home, you might want to go back to somewhere where you grew up, where the values of your parents, which are important to you, are really important now as well. Because these people that are pressuring you, whether they want you to restart something or whether they want you to just do everything their way, and they're even threatening a lawsuit if you don't, those are not your kind of people, Cancer. Even if you've had them in your life before, they are not your type. And you need to walk away from them. Because your sign is the one that's got the best planets in it in the heavens. And Venus conjuncting Jupiter in your sign, and Jupiter is exalted, that has not happened this century. And it's happening in your sign now, Cancer. You need to go home, close the door, and decide what you want to do with your life for the rest of your life. And if it involves endings, this is a perfect time for it. Don't let somebody push you around now. They may have gotten away with that successfully before. And that has to end now. Because you have a much better life ahead of you, as long as you really respond to what's in your heart. Not out of fear, but out of love. And you can do it. All right, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time, Leo, when you could sort of run into people who are looking for something newer in life. And you could be thinking that a gamble that you had taken or a power play that you want to make was going to work, and it could up to a point. Now, I'm just saying that if an enemy takes a step too far, or anybody presses their point too much, they're going to fail. They're going to set up an irrevocable failure. Irrevocable means it's not coming back. And that's what they're going to set up if they take a step too far. Well, Leo, your sign rules leadership. You don't mind taking a step that's out there and sort of leading the pack. And the moon in Aries and Saturn and Neptune are all trining your sun sign where you have the sun. And also Mercury is direct now. So you could feel that energy of these 5 planets in fire signs. And you could feel all revved up like, ooh, you're ready to do something. And I still encourage you to think twice, Leo. And the reason why is that Pluto is in Aquarius, And it's another fixed sign, so there's 3 planets in fixed signs that are opposing each other, 2 in your sign, Leo, and they're opposing Pluto, and then Pluto in Aquarius is opposing your sign. Well, Pluto is part of a grand trine in the air signs because it's in Aquarius, and it really represents people in upper management in large corporations, government agencies, or institutions that are really focused on the future right now. And they are not focused on the status quo or people who have done things the same old way and been successful. You could have been successful, Leo, but they're not interested in what you did in your past. They are only focused on the future. And when Uranus leaves Gemini this fall and comes back into Taurus, it will once again, as it has for the last 6 years, square your sun. This is not a time for you to take a risk, Leo. I'm sure you can feel that you want to, and I'm sure you can. I think rather than starting something brand new, I think you're sort of wanting to repackage something or redo something and sort of get it off the ground a second time. And you're in other words, you may have had a good idea that didn't work out the first time, but if you rework it, you're thinking it could work out now. If it involves a relationship, I would, and particularly anything legal, like a lawsuit, I would say be real careful, because I don't think anybody's going to be on the winning side of a lawsuit right now, not with Mars in Libra, so well aspected. So if you're after money, or you're after winning a legal controversy, I caution you not to do that right now, Leo. I wouldn't do that. If you're still convinced, say, down the road, that you're right on everything, then maybe you could take a step too far. But if you take a step too far right now, or if you feel that one of your gambles has not paid off and you want to recoup your losses by suing somebody else, you won't win. It won't happen. Really, lawsuits are the wrong thing to be in right now with Mars in Libra. Even though it is in a grand trine, it's in such a powerful grand trine, it is not promoting peace. It is just, what it can be advocating is getting something done right and getting it done legally. But if an enemy didn't like that, then they could take a step too far, and they would fail. The enemies that fail right now, they brought it on themselves. They're going to bring it on themselves. We don't need to feel any pity for them, because whatever they're failing at has been motivated by their greed, or their demands, or their refusal to give up a leadership position that is sort of yesterday's news, and nobody even cares about it anymore. Don't put yourself in that position, Leo. It isn't going to work for you. And so with Mercury now directing your sign, and it does have the moon in Aries is trining it, and so are Saturn and Neptune, you might want to take a look at some things that you hadn't quite completed yet. Maybe you could complete something before you go after something new. But if you want to start something new right now, Leo, I would back away from that, mainly because there may not be much demand for whatever you want to do. You know, in America, you have to have the demand before you can sell something. You have to create the demand. Maybe there is not enough demand for what you want to do, Leo, and so you need to step back right now. That would be the safe thing to do. Whatever happens, do not take a step too far. You will lose. Anybody would if they took a step too far now. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, there are no planets in the earth signs at all. Okay, so there's nothing in Capricorn, there's nothing in Taurus, and there's nothing in your sign, Virgo. And on top of that, there is a planet that is completely unopposed and not challenged by anything. It's sort of riding high right now, and that is Uranus, the great awakener, and the sign of sudden surprising change. And it is in Gemini, squaring your sun, Virgo. And it's got a free ride right now because it's part of a grand trine in the air signs. Mars is backing it up, and Uranus is a malefic planet. It's responsible for sudden surprising change and moves. And Gemini does rule change. And so, actually, Virgo, this would be a very good time for you not to rock your boat. Don't do that because Uranus is squaring your sun sign, and Uranus is a planet of volatility, rebellion, eccentricity, and sudden surprising change. And since it's squaring your sun, if you are wanting to do something where you feel, I'm going to do this because something's not fair to me, and I'm going to get back at somebody for that. I'm going to make them pay. Mars is in Libra right ahead of your sun sign, and that Uranus is backing up that Mars, but it's squaring your sign. And so I would say this is a very good time for you to lay low, Virgo. And if you don't mind me advising you, I think that either you should stay home or go on vacation, or else get interested in some sort of self-improvement program that takes time. In other words, like going to the gym and having to work out, or playing some outdoor sport that takes a lot of time. And the reason why is that you sort of need to get through this time right now, Virgo, without incurring any enemies, okay? And that's doubly important because there's nothing in the earth signs at all. There's no backup for any earth sign, Taurus, Capricorn, or your sign. So this is not a good time to take a risk on anything. You could think you're 100% right on something, Virgo. This is not the time to talk about it. It just isn't. It's a much better time for you to do something that will benefit you, and turn a deaf ear to everybody else. Remember, if an enemy takes one step too far, they are irrevocably going to fail. They're going to set up their own defeat. No one's going to feel sorry for them either. And so stay away. And just sort of mind your own business right now. This is not a week for you to come up with the right answer, even if somebody asks you what it is. Virgos are thinkers. They can put things together, and they concentrate on small details. Keep them to yourself, Virgo. Because the worst thing that you could possibly do, any earth sign, Taurus and Capricorn as well, is to walk into a trap, because you have no backup. And so if somebody was trying to entrap you into doing something or saying something, they'd probably succeed. And that's not the way you want to go, not this week. So just stay away. When people ask your opinion, or they want you to help them with something, or they want you to do something, just say, oh, I'm so sorry, I have an appointment that I need to keep. And it's been an appointment for a long time, I gotta go, bye. And mean it, Virgo. Just mum's the word this week. You might even be saving your life. Or you might be saving your way of life by not coming up even with a helpful answer. You don't need to do that this week, Virgo. Let the chips fall where they may. They're gonna do that anyway. So step back if you can. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra. This is a time, Libra, with Mars in your sign, that you can be pretty revved up. You can be feeling, as if something isn't fair. And you might be wanting to initiate a lawsuit. I would not do that, Libra. The reason why is lawsuits are expensive. Win or lose, the lawyer gets paid. And so stand back, Libra. Now that might be hard for you to do because you are under wonderful aspects as far as this magical grand trine in the air signs go. But the air signs are very strong and very forceful, and they really mean business right now. That's very strange for an air sign, because air signs, they have a million ideas. Well, they don't all get done. But now we have some really heavy-duty planets in air signs. And one of the biggest ones is in your sign, Libra. It's Mars. And luckily, Mars isn't happy in Libra, because Libra is a sign ruled by Venus. And so Mars sort of stirs things up. So your partnerships could be going through a time of trial right now, Libra. And I would predict that you do not have a way to tell what the outcome would be at the moment. You're not going to know what the outcome would be of some tension in a relationship, or in a lawsuit, or in some kind of pressure on your job or in your career. I don't think you're going to be able to actually foresee how something is going to turn out right now. And the reason why is that Mars is in your sign, but it is not a Libra's nature to get heated about things. Libras don't like to be angry, and so you don't put yourself in an adversarial position right now, Libra, because then you'd have to either advocate your own viewpoint a lot and really stress it. You have the energy to do that. Mars is in your sign, or you'll need to defend yourself, and you have the energy to do that too. But Mars is trining Pluto in Aquarius, and that Pluto represents management, new management in upper management in large corporations, government agencies, or institutions. They could be very interested in you right now. This is a wonderful trine because they're both Scorpio's rulers, and Scorpio's a money sign. And so, if you can keep your cool right now, Libra, that's going to do you a lot of good. And I mean, really, you could be 100% right and want to accuse somebody of something. Don't do it now, Libra, even though Mars is in your sign, and you could be strident about your points, and you could want to be pressing them forward. I wouldn't do that. The reason why is that you might be jeopardizing some future financial benefit, actually. Pluto is trining the Mars in your sign. And then the big one is that Uranus, which is the only planet in a mutable sign, therefore it's not being squared or opposed by anything. It's at 1 degree. It too is trining Mars in your sign, and it's a malefic planet, and so is Mars. You might do yourself a lot of good, Libra, if you could think of how to direct your energy into what you want to do in the future. And so I would use all that energy that you've got with Mars in your sign to plan that. But not necessarily, unless you're talking to people that you want to see if they would fund a project of yours. In other words, if you want to talk money or the cost of something, you could find out what the cost of something would be. That would be a good idea, and how to fund it. But if you were finding that you were on the defense and in a defensive position, I wouldn't put myself in that position right now, Libra. Why waste your energy? Nobody's going to win a lawsuit right now. Least of all you. You've got Mars in your sign. And so what you really need to do is step back a little bit and plan for the future, because your future is looking a whole lot brighter than you could possibly realize right now, because Uranus is it's a go-getter. It rules the future. It's trining your sign, and it's going to do that all the way through the summer. And Pluto is going to be trining your sign for the next 15 or 17 years. You need to think beyond whatever is creating tension in your life right now, Libra. Try to cut that off. In an ending, somebody always loses. Don't even end it. Just cut it off. If something's bothering you right now, just don't be available. Don't just be too busy. And then instead, start thinking about your future, because it's looking very bright. It would require extra work from you, Libra. But why not? Because I have a feeling there's good money to be made as well. You just have to plan it better. And then you really do need to do a little cost analysis of whatever your future plans are. And I think you can be successful at that as well. So I think this is a time, Libra, for you to sort of really apply a little shoe leather to whatever you want to do, and reach out and go talk to people and find out the information that you need and put it together in a package right now that may make you more money than you could possibly realize in the future. That's what you should be working on, your future plans. Do not get ensnarled in people who are trying to sort of work you over to their benefit in one way or another. They are taking a step too far. They shouldn't be imposing on you like that. So don't listen to them. And just keep focused on your future. It's looking very bright. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time, Scorpio, when your few rulers, once again, are in wonderful aspect to each other. Lucky you, because Mars is in Libra trining, being trined by Pluto, your other ruler in Aquarius. It's retrograde, but they are both being trined by Uranus in Gemini, which is fantastic. Because your rulers are in air signs, being trined by a ruler of an air sign, Uranus, which rules Aquarius. And so they're going to benefit from this trine. You're going to benefit from the trine of your rulers, Scorpio, as long as you are focused on the future. And it can be, oddly enough, that there can be some people around who represent new management, or management that has new ideas, and they sort of want to go in a future direction, and they could be interested in forming a partnership with you, Scorpio. Now, it might be because either you have some money to invest in the new idea, or else they're willing, if you have a new idea, they're willing to pay you for it. And they would have the money. One way or another, Scorpio, there's some more money coming to you. It could be from just a better way that you're managing your own money. Or it could be that somebody has a really good future idea, and you might want to jump in and invest in that with the prospects of thinking that it would pay off in the future. I think you would be right about that. And it doesn't, it may not be a great big idea, but it could be something that would affect everyday people in a good way. Nothing like going into outer space, but still something that would affect our communities, our young people. Uranus is in Gemini. That's what Gemini rules, and it's trining both of your rulers, Mars and Pluto, in the grand trine in the air signs. So this is a time to sort of think ahead, Scorpio. You benefit greatly still from Jupiter, which is exalted in Cancer, and Venus still conjuncting each other. Jupiter is at 14 degrees, and Venus is at 16 degrees today. They're conjuncting, and they're trining your sun. Love should be coming your way, Scorpio, or else you should be heading for home, and maybe that's where love is. Cancer rules the home. Or it also rules endings and the last half of life. And maybe you are deciding in the activities that you've led or done in your life, maybe you are deciding that home life is just as important as a career. And maybe you're even wanting to spend a little more time at home. And that could enhance your career in one way or another. Maybe you would have a new idea for your career, but you can develop it at home. So since Venus and Jupiter are trining your sun, and this is the only time in this century that they have both been conjuncting in Cancer at the same time, and trining your sun and the Pisces sun. So this is a time when you should concentrate on your heart's desire. And if there is an enemy around in your life, Scorpio, and they are wanting to make themselves an enemy, or they want to demand things of you, or try to control you in some way, or tell you what to do, or else they're lying to you and saying, oh gee, I just care so much about you, I've just got to be around you all the time and take care of you and blah blah blah. Take it with a grain of salt, Scorpio. I think you're too smart to fall for something like that. Those are people that in the end, their greed is simply motivated. They say it's love, but it's motivated by wanting to ride your coattails. And that isn't, with Venus and Jupiter in Cancer for the first time this century trining your sun, that isn't what it's all about for you, Scorpio. It's all about love and home and somebody to share it with. And it could be somebody new, that not from your past, but somebody that makes you feel real comfortable. You're just comfortable around them, no pressure. It could be, they say great minds think alike. It could be somebody that thinks a lot like you, Scorpio. and just fine. It would be pretty easy to get together with somebody like, a little hard to find somebody like that, but very easy to get together with them, because you sort of have just the same way of looking at things. And you are certainly expected to have that kind of happiness coming your way, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, there aren't any planets in the mutable signs, and yours is a mutable sign, except Uranus in Gemini, which is still opposing your sun sign. It's going to do that all summer. And so suddenly there could be an enemy that sort of heads your way, Sagittarius, and may go a step too far, putting too much pressure on you, or trying to tell you what to do, or making so many rules that you have to jump through before you can do something, that they don't have your best interest in mind at all. They might have their best interest in mind, but not yours, Sagittarius, not in an opposition like that. So you're going to have to sort of live with that all summer. Uranus is going to go back into Taurus in the fall and stay for another year. So there may be some things that you just need to work out on your own, Sagittarius, and you are going to have help from that trine of those planets, those 5 planets in the fire signs, because they do all trine your sun. And that means that the sun and Mercury in Leo are trining your sun, and so are the moon, the other light, and Saturn and Neptune in Aries are trining your sun. You might be able right now, Sagittarius, to sort of get something off the ground that you were always intending to do but didn't quite get done. Well, maybe you can get it done now. You certainly would have the backing of 5 planets and fire signs. Well, that would give you a lot of energy, Sagittarius. But it would have to be something that is, it probably is an idea that has already come into your mind, that you've always wanted to do, or you've been thinking about it for a long, long time. And at this time in your life, you may be much better prepared to succeed at that. And so you could. And it might even have the effect of tying up loose ends. Or, you may have said to yourself, even if something was not fair to you for many years, you may have always said, well, someday I'm going to fix that. And this could be the time to do it, Sagittarius. Because you have a lot of backups, including the lights, Sun in Leo, Moon in Aries. So something that had been stalled or had not been fair to you and had been going on for quite a long time, you probably could get in there and finally resolve an issue. And that is because Mars is in Libra, indicating lawsuits, but it's sextiling your sun. I don't think that you're going to need to get in a lawsuit, Sagittarius, but you might have to whisper the possibility of that to somebody else in order to get them to back off. Well, nothing wrong with that. And then Pluto in Aquarius is also sextiling your sun, and it is part of the grand trine in the air signs. Somebody influential could help you out, or at least answer your questions for you. Or maybe they're doing something that will eventually benefit you as well. So you are under good aspects, but I think it is probably to redo something or straighten out a matter that hasn't really been fair to you, Sagittarius. And I think you're going to have the energy, or other people will have a reason why it's time to get that straightened out. Maybe they want to move on, or else maybe you want to move on. And so things can work out a little bit better, particularly if you concentrate on something possibly that should have been straightened out before. And now I think you can do it. So I would if I were you. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn. This is a time, Capricorn, with no planets in the earth signs, when I don't think that you can really move too far forward on something. And you might not have the energy level to do that anyway, because there's nothing backing up your sign. Nothing in your sign, nothing in Virgo, nothing in Taurus. It's sort of like the old status quo, Capricorn. Except for the fact that Mars is in Libra, squaring your sun. The Moon and Saturn and Neptune in Aries are also squaring your sun. Remember, I said that there can be a rosy outlook for people that want to sort of move forward right now, but is success really going to work right now? I don't think so, because there's even more planets that are in a threatening position or a challenging position to each other. And that's what's happening in your sign, Capricorn. because 3 planets in Aries are squaring your sun, and Mars in Libra is also squaring your sun. By themselves, they're backed up by other planets, but nothing's backing up your planet and your sign. And so I think that if you wanted to walk into somebody else's fight right now, you could do it, Capricorn. Why would you bother? Not a good idea. You'd be getting hit from both sides. You know, planets in Aries are squaring your sun. Mars in Libra is squaring your sun. No matter, you open your mouth and somebody is going to accuse you of something, or else they're going to complain to you, or else they're going to try to use you to get something they want. Don't fall for it, Capricorn. Just step back. This is just like for Virgo. This is a week when you should just go home, close the door, and enjoy your peace and quiet. And leave it at that, Capricorn. I don't think you can jump in where angels fear to tread and solve somebody else's problem for them. And the reason why I don't think anybody can do that right now, because if an enemy takes a step too far, they're going to set up their own failure, and it's only their fault. It's not anybody else's fault. It's their fault. And they've decided to be an enemy anyway. You know, the kind of enemy that I'm talking about is somebody who already has it in their mind of what they want, and it's motivated by greed or manipulation or some huge gamble they took, or even a lawsuit, something illegal, and they just sort of think, oh, well, I'm going to do this my way no matter what. So they're quite capable of taking a step too far and setting up their own irrevocable demise, or not demise, but defeat. And Capricorn, you need to step back, really a long way back, and not take part in anything like that. And if you suspect that somebody is an enemy of yours or of somebody else that you care about, you still need to be as quiet as a little mouse and not say a word, because your sign has no backup at all. There's nothing in any of the earth signs. And that caution is advised, Capricorn. Just be as quiet as you can, because we all know that there's enemies in the world, but either they can be contained, or if there is a possibility they take a step too far right now, which is looking like they're going to do you want to be in their way, Capricorn? No. Stay out of their way. It's not going to be good for you, and your sign has no backup. So go on vacation, Capricorn, or else try to do some really hard job that only you can do, so that you can tell everybody else you're in the middle of a big project and you can't leave it. That would be a good idea, Capricorn, so I hope you say that. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius. Aquarius, you're still probably riding pretty high, because your sign is part of a grand trine, almost lethal, very powerful grand trine in the air signs right now, because Pluto is in your sign, Aquarius, which rules the future, and it's at 2 degrees, it's retrograde, and it is being trined by Mars in Libra at 4 degrees. That's a very close trine. They're the rulers of Scorpio, indicating there can be some more money around for you somewhere, Aquarius. And it could probably be either, it could be a refund on something, or it could be a better credit score that you get, or it could be that somebody wants to pay you for some really good, new, fresh idea that you've got, and it's that is an idea whose time has finally come, and somebody wants to hire you to do it. That is certainly possible, because your own ruler, Uranus, for the first time in 20 years, is trining your sun. It's at 1 degree of Gemini, and there are no other planets in the mutable signs. Gemini's a mutable sign, but there's nothing in Virgo or Sagittarius or Pisces. That Uranus, which is trining your sign, is completely unimpeded, and it's going to do you a world of good, because it rules your sign, Aquarius. So you're in line for a step up. And it could happen quite suddenly, right out of the blue. You could be walking along and somebody could come up to you and say, oh, say, I've heard about that new idea of yours. Or, hey, we're looking for somebody with your skills. You want a job? Something could happen like that, Aquarius. Or it could be that if you have been very determined and working on something already because your sign rules inventions. Maybe it is past the development stage and ready to go into production, and all you need is a little financing to have that happen, and you're expected to get it, Aquarius. Isn't that nice? So anyway, it's very important that if you suspect that there's anybody around you that could be jealous or vindictive or greedy and an enemy who may want to take a step too far right now, you really have to stay away from them, Aquarius, because your future is looking so bright. And that's because your sign is part of this very powerful grand trine in air signs. This is not an ordinary grand trine in air signs. It's a heavy-duty one, because there's 2 malefic planets are there, and both rulers of a fixed sign, Scorpio, are there. And so you got to get dead serious about something, Aquarius, and it's something that probably is going to pay off. And boy, you need to take the next step, or you need to talk to other people about it. It might shock you that you're a little bit more successful than you thought you would be. But this is the time to do that. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces. This is a time, Pisces, when once again you still benefit, just like Scorpio, from the trine of Venus and Jupiter that are conjuncting in Cancer, because that's the only time that's happened this century, and they're trining your sun, Pisces, which is good. But at the same time, and so that's good for your home life, Pisces. That is good for the last half of your life. That is good for things that need to end. They could end well. They could end well right now. Something could end well. And at the same time, you know, it's like, it's like, since your sign rules dreams, it's like some dream that you had at one time in your life, Pisces. It may have sort of faded with time, and it may not be what you're really looking for now, and so it's sort of in the past, and that dream is fading, Pisces, and that's good, because with Venus and Jupiter in Cancer trining your sun for the only time this century, you are looking at being able to make a better choice than you've ever made in your life before. And one that would make you happier. And also one that I would describe it as a good fit. Very good fit. And it's a good fit because your heart says so. And because their heart, somebody else's heart says so. It's not because the world says so. It doesn't have anything to do with anybody other than you and maybe somebody else. And they could be a friend. They could be a neighbor. They could be somebody that you read about for years and finally met, and you might just be comfortable. And even if you hadn't met them yet, or you hadn't met somebody yet, when you do, and it sort of strikes you that, gee, it's easy to talk to this person, or gee, it feels nice to have them around. That's what I mean by a good fit, Pisces. It doesn't matter what they look like. It doesn't matter what their age is. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what you do. It's that somehow there's somebody coming into your life, or maybe somebody that you've already had your eye on, or else it's somebody you're about to meet, and they're just going to be a real good fit. No hard edges on them at all. No hard edges on you. It's funny. If you're incompatible with somebody, you're always going to argue with them, because either they're going to blame you for all their failures, or you're going to be responsible for their mistakes, or whatever. That's when you're incompatible. But when you are compatible with somebody, there's no name calling. There's not a lot of anything except just comfort, joy. Easy going. Pisces, there's somebody out there that's just right for you, and they're a very good fit. You either know about them or you're about to meet them. And if I were you, I'd wake up and make sure you were looking your best, Pisces. Put your best foot forward. And, you know, a Pisces is a charming person when they want to be. And Pisces have eyes that see things a little bit differently than the way other people see them. Pisces can look at the worst thing in the world and still find something good about it. I don't know how they do it. But in its highest form, a Pisces can be an angel. And wouldn't it be nice if you could find someone else like that would be a good fit? And as I said, doesn't matter what they look like, doesn't matter what their age is, doesn't matter what they do, doesn't matter what you do. It's just how it feels. And somebody's around that's a good fit for you, Pisces. And you know, hang on to them. Or when you'll know it when you'll see them. If you see them, you'll know it right away. And I urge you to do something about it, because that could be the greatest happiness that you've known for years and years and years. Because this is the only time Venus and Jupiter and Cancer have been conjuncting and trining your sun this century. And we're 25 years into this century already, and it has not happened before. That's why you got to pay attention to that. So don't look around for the people that are arguing or blaming you or want something from you or want to use you or take up your time or anything else. Whoever that easy person is just sort of easy to talk to. Make a beeline for them, Pisces, for the rest of your life. You'll never regret it. So good luck. And thank you so much for the new subscribers. And I will see you right back here next week for STARBORN. Bye.